12. Wherever I turn, I see fresh evidence of my old age. I visited my place just out of Rome recently and was grumbling about the expense of maintaining the building, which was in a dilapidated state. My manager told me the trouble wasn't due to any neglect on his part. He was doing his utmost, but the house was old. That house had taken shape under my own hands. What's to become of me if stones of my age are crumbling like that? Losing my temper, I seized at the first excuse that presented itself for venting my irritation on him. It's quite clear, I said, that these plain trees are being neglected. There's no foliage on them. Look at those knotty, dried up branches and those wretched, flaking trunks. That wouldn't happen if someone dug around them and watered them. He swore by my guardian angel, he was doing his utmost. In everything, his care was unremitting, but the poor things were just old. Between you and me, now I had planted them myself and seen the first leaf appearing on them myself. Then, turning towards the front door, I said, "Who's that? Who's that decrepit old person?" The door's the proper place for him, all right. He looks as if he's on the way out. Where did you get him from? What was the attraction in taking over someone else's dead for burial? Whereupon the man said, "Don't you recognize me? I'm Felicio. You used to bring me toy figures. I'm the son of the manager, Philocitus, your pet playmate." "The man's absolutely crazy," I said. "Become a little child again, as he actually calls himself my playmate. Well, the way he's losing his teeth at his very moment, it's perfectly possible. So I owe it to this place of mine near town that my old age was made clear to me at every turn. Well, we should cherish old age and enjoy it. It is full of pleasure if you know how to use it. Fruit tastes most delicious when its season is ending. The charms of youth are at their greatest at the time of its passing. It is the final glass which pleases the inveterate drinker, the one that sets the crowning touch on his intoxication and sends him off into oblivion. Every pleasure defers till its lasts. Nope. Every pleasure defers till its last its greatest delights. The time of no, the time of life which offers the greatest delight is the age that sees the downward movement, not the steep decline already begun. And in my opinion, even the age that stands on the brink has pleasures of its own, or else the very fact of not experiencing the want of any pleasures takes their place. How nice it is to have outworn one's desires and left them behind. It's not very pleasant, though, you may say, to have death right before one's eye. To this I would say, firstly, that death ought to be right there before the eyes of a young man just as much as an old one. The order in which we each receive our summons is not determined by our precedence in the register. And secondly, that no one is so very old that it would be quite unnatural for him to hope for every. Nope. Let me do it again. And secondly, that no one is so very old that it would be quite unnatural for him to hope for one more day. Every day, therefore, should be regulated as if it were the one that brings up the rear, the one that rounds out and completes our lives. Pacuvius, the man who acquired a right to Syria by prescription, was in the habit of conducting a memorial ceremony for himself with wine and funeral feastings of the kind we are familiar with, and then being carried off on a briar from the dinner table to his bed while a chanting to music went on of his. Damn, dude, hold on. Why is this one screwing me up today? Pacuvius, the man who acquired a right to Syria by prescription, was in the habit of conducting a memorial ceremony for himself with wine and funeral feastings of the kind we are familiar with, and then being carried on a briar from the diner table to his bed while a chanting to music went on of the words, he has lived in Greek, amid the applause of the young libertines present. Never a day passed but the celebrated his own funeral. What he did from discreditable motives, we should do from honorable ones, saying in all joyfulness and cheerfulness as we retire to our beds, I have lived, I have completed now the course that fortune long ago allotted me. If God adds the morrow, we should accept it joyfully. The man who looks for the morrow without worrying over it knows a peaceful independence and a happiness beyond all others. Whoever has said, I have lived, receives a windfall every day he gets up in the morning. But I must close this letter now. What, you'll be saying, is it coming to me just as it is without any parting contribution? Don't worry, it's bringing you something. Why did I call it something, though? It's a great deal, for what could be more splendid than the following saying, which I'm entrusting to this letter of mine for delivery to you? To live under constraint is a misfortune, but there is no constraint to live under constraint. Of course not, when on every side there are plenty of short and easy roads of freedom there for the taking. Let us thank God that no one can be held a prisoner in life. The very constraints can be trampled underfoot. It was Epicurus who said that. You protest. What business have you got with someone else's property? Whatever is true is my property, and I shall persist in inflicting Epicurus on you in order to bring it home to the people who take an oath of allegiance to someone and never afterwards consider what is being said, but only who said it, that the things of greatest merit are common property. All right.